That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, yo, did you find my... Hey, yo, Chris, what's that you're reading?
Just brushing up on my Avengers history. With that new movie coming out, I want to be prepared to catch the Easter eggs.
The Avengers? Ain't that old school superhero team that nobody really cares about?
Hey, I didn't care much about these guys at first either, but their stories are actually really dope. Characters like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. You know, it's crazy how the MCU was able to take these C-list heroes that nobody really cared about and turn them into complex, emotional characters.
Huh. Interesting. What about those guys on the back cover over there?
Who? These guys? Oh, those are just the D-list Avengers. You know, the ones that nobody cares about. Sure, they were able to pull material off of Iron Man and Captain America, but these guys, the Vision, and the Scarlet Witch, and the Falcon, and Winter Soldier, who cares?
I mean, hey, if they can do it with Iron Man, they can do it with pretty much anybody, right? Who knows? They might be able to do something cool with them.
Maybe. Who am I kidding? I don't care how good those movies are. They'll never be able to make me care about Vision and Scarlet Witch.
We have said goodbye before, so it stands to reason.
We'll say hello again.
She just wanted to start a family, man! What is grief if not love persevering? What's up, y'all? It's your boy Supafly, and welcome to the very first episode of Supafly Reviews, the high-flying movie review show where I give you my thoughts on all your favorite pop culture properties. So, how about that Disney Plus? Since for the last several years, Disney has been dominating the big screens with the debut of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with movies including Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy, and all sorts of other characters that, until the movies came out, nobody really cared about. But Infinity War and Endgame proved to be widespread commercial successes, so Disney, trying to rake in a bit more of that MCU cheddar cheese, decided to launch their brand new platform of original Marvel Disney Plus shows. First off, full disclosure, I was a very face value Avengers fan growing up. But one of the things that's been kind of cool about Marvel not having access to some of their more popular characters like the X-Men and Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four is that it gave Kevin Feige and crew a chance to focus on the more obscure characters that didn't really get their time in the limelight. As much as it may be hard to believe now, Iron Man was considered a second-rate hero at best until Robert Downey Jr.'s first movie came out. And ever since then, the character has been catapulted into the limelight. Same with Captain America and Thor. I always thought that the idea and the look of the Avengers was really cool. They pretty much seemed like the Justice League of the Marvel Universe. But once you got into the more obscure D-list characters like the Ant-Mans and the Hawkeyes and the Visions and Scarlet Witches and Falcons, that's when they started to lose me. Which is why I find these 3 Disney Plus shows we've gotten this year, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, to be such an achievement for Marvel. Even though none of them are exactly perfect. Let's get into it. Let's kick it off with the trailblazer of this whole Disney Plus renaissance, WandaVision, which, funny enough, was actually supposed to be the second Marvel Disney Plus show and the third installment of Phase 4 of the MCU overall. The basic premise of the show revolves around Wanda Maximoff, aka Scarlet Witch, as she's known in the comics, who ever since her first introduction to the MCU has suffered loss after loss after loss. First with the death of her twin brother and super speed demon Pietro/Quicksilver, and then with her robot boyfriend Vision dying at the hands of Thanos in Infinity War. Now the characters of Vision and Scarlet Witch have a long and tumultuous history, both as lovers and sometimes even enemies in the comics. And I'd be lying if I said I ever got personally invested in their relationship. I never really understood how that relationship ever worked. At the end of the day, he's a robot. It's not like you can really do anything with him down there.
At least, not without a socket wrench and a whole lot of motor oil.
Wanda, you are a member of the Avengers, a team of superheroes comprising of all of the most jacked, clean-cut, manliest of mans in the Marvel Universe. Captain America, Iron Man, well, maybe not Iron Man, but Thor, a literal god. Even Hawkeye is super jacked. And you go for the robot? The guy who can never intimately satisfy you? Why? And then really hits the fan in Avengers Disassemble, where Scarlet Witch goes ballistic because of the factual reality that she can't have kids with the robot. This harsh realization causes Scarlet Witch to go cuckoo banana pants and nearly massacre the Avengers because they had the audacity to object to her altering and remaking reality just to give herself children with a glorified toaster oven. I never found Scarlet Witch to be a sympathetic character in any sense of the word. She always struck me as just this unstable spaz who couldn't control her powers, who just went ballistic because she couldn't get what she wanted. But the WandaVision Disney Plus series put me into a chokehold and say, hey, you want Wanda to be a sympathetic character? You want to see a sympathetic Scarlet Witch? I will give you a sympathetic Scarlet Witch, and give it to me they did. And I'm happy they did it. WandaVision is nothing short of fantastic. Nearly perfect execution, made me feel things that I never thought I could feel for characters like Vision and Scarlet Witch, and just an all-around fantastic, innovative, and groundbreaking show. And funny enough, a lot of my favorite elements of WandaVision wasn't even the super deep-cut comic booky Easter eggs that I normally gravitate toward. It was the overall aesthetic of the series that they choose to go with. Instead of just making it this straightforward story of Wanda's descent into madness, they decide to take the opportunity to explore different avenues in terms of television storytelling and sitcoms. Through the lens of this imaginary world that Wanda has constructed, where we get to see her live out her fantasies of having everything she ever wanted, we travel throughout the decades through different eras of television sitcoms, and it is fantastic. We start in the early 40s to late 1950s with the Dick Van Dyke Leave It to Beaver era, with all the black and white cheesy sitcom hijinks that the people of yesteryear used to love to watch every week. And then we transition to the series in color to represent the 70s era. What is that show? Partridge Family, and the Brady Bunch era of sitcoms in the late 60s to early 1970s. And then we transition into the 80s with the Full House, Modern Family wouldn't come till later, but y'all know what I mean, all these sitcom shows, man. Why do so many of them have to have the name family in it?
Family.
They even have like all the 80s aesthetic with Elizabeth Olsen's hair. Damn, she looked fine in that episode. Oh my gosh, man, Elizabeth Olsen, man. We need to talk. And then transitions into the 90s with this really cool Even Stevens, everybody hates Chris sort of vibe. And then we transition into the 2000s, the era of the mockumentary, with shows like Modern Family and The Office being major inspirations for the show. Even though the show is titled WandaVision, this really is Wanda Maximoff's story through and through, and I love it. I honestly never thought I'd say this, but Scarlet Witch is now one of my favorite characters in the entire MCU. You really get to dig into the psychology and backstory of her character, and you get to see how the events that she went through movie after movie came to shape where she is as a person and as a hero now. It's just a really complex and fascinating character study, the likes of which we've never seen in the MCU thus far. That's what I love about this new Disney Plus format, because instead of having 2-hour movies where you really only get to focus on one or two aspects of maybe one or two characters, this show has the time and the legroom to be able to dive deep into how these characters think, their motivations, where they come from, and you really gain a deeper understanding of all of the characters involved. Another pleasant surprise of WandaVision was the strength of its supporting cast, because even the secondary characters in the show are people we already met in the MCU, like FBI agent Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp, who finally managed to master that card trick Scott Lang was showing him. And Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel, who is now all grown up and an agent of the celestial organization known as SWORD. Not to mention Darcy Lewis from Thor and Thor the Dark World, played by Kat Dennings, who is just an absolute delight. I love her. Along with newcomer, the iconic Kathryn Hahn as Agatha Harkness, who is just delightfully chewing the scenery every time she shows up. Whether she's playing the role as Agnes, their nosy next-door neighbor, or a sinister sorceress trying to siphon Wanda's power, she is a type of actress that you cannot take your eyes off of her. She's just captivating.
I promise I won't bite. I actually did bite a kid once.
You really just gotta see it to understand.
And I killed Sparky, too.
Also, it was great to see the introduction of Wanda's kids, which is also something I was not expecting to like as much as I did. I really liked the kids that they got to play Billy and Tommy, and I thought it was like, they did a really good job of displaying like the weirdness of how Wanda constructs these kids out of nothingness that just like keep growing and growing and growing. It's just like, what are you doing? They perfectly illustrated Wanda starting to slowly lose her grip on reality and slowly become attached to this new world in Westview that she created. It gave her something to lose. When she gave up her kids at the end, for the sake of the town, I was not expecting them to go there. The entire show, I'm like, what's gonna happen to these kids? There's no way she's gonna be able to keep them, but it's Disney. They're not gonna kill kids in a Disney show. And they did it. They didn't show it, but they did it. I was shocked. My jaw was at the floor. I cannot believe they went there. Kudos to you, Disney. Kudos to you. That scene where they were tucking them in a bed at night for the last time, and Wanda was like, thank you for choosing me to be your mother. I was like, that tore me up, man. I was so mad. I was like, damn you, Disney. Damn you. I hate you, Disney, sometimes, but I respect you for that. I respect that. Hands down, the two best actors in this thing, without a doubt. Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen give their all in this show. And it's insane how good they were. And it almost makes me mad because it shows how much Marvel was wasting their characters up till this point because they're both so talented. They're both able to play comedic and dramatic and flip between the two at the drop of a hat. That scene where they argue in episode 5, where Vision is trying to figure out where he comes from because he can't remember anything before they move to Westview because he's not real. He was a sentient being constructed out of Wanda's grief. Just the way that they used Vision's character in this show was just amazing. Really made me feel for him in a way that I just was not expecting. Also, that part in episode 2 where he gets the gum stuck in his gears and he has to, acting all drunk doing, the magic show, that was just... Yes, it was cheesy. Yes, it was very Disney Channel, but... Paul Bettany pulls it off, man. I don't know what to tell you. The man is a class act. Except when it comes to spreading false rumors online about there being a mysterious cameo at the end of WandaVision who really just turned out to be Paul Bettany being excited to play off of himself. Paul Bettany, I like you. You know I do. But I ain't forgetting that. There was really only one element in the show that just straight up did not work for me, and I'm pretty sure y'all know what it is. Quicksilver. I'm not saying that Kevin Feige and the people at Marvel are obligated to give in to every single one of the fan theories, speculation, and all of that rigmarole that's surrounded by every single property that they make. I'm not saying that they're obligated to adhere to that. I'm not saying that MCU fan fiction is always going to make the best story. I'm not saying that. But when you introduce Evan Peters, who is supposed to be Quicksilver, who played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, and you introduce him knocking on the door, and you say, hey, this is the new Quicksilver now. When you introduce him like that, to just, for no reason, turn it into this yuckity-yuck Mandarin-style bait-and-switch, be like, oh no, it wasn't Quicksilver. It was just some random guy Agatha Harkness pulled off the street named Ralph Boner. Why? Especially when you prove to us how great Evan Peters would have been as Quicksilver in every single scene he participated in. He just looked like he was having a blast in the Quicksilver role. He felt so at home in it. And he was, without a doubt, the best of the two we've gotten on screen thus far. For you to just waste him like that is just borderline criminal. But other than that, I don't really have much else to say about WandaVision. But other than that, I don't really have any other major problems with WandaVision. Just an all-around well-rounded, thought-provoking, and really impactful show for me. Now that being said, is WandaVision the best superhero show we've ever seen on screen? Absolutely not. But in terms of the show itself, WandaVision was everything I wanted it to be and more. It just really impressed me with how deep they were able to go with Wanda's story and with Vision and with the whole white Vision versus green Vision philosophical shipathesis debate. Just chef's kiss. Overall, really great show. I really had fun with it. WandaVision, you are Supafly approved. If you like what you see here, make sure you follow on Instagram at I am Supafly and on TikTok at Supafly Comics. That's about it for me, guys. Fly out. And, this show is just gonna be me trying to remember all these names of these classic shows that my mom used to watch. Dang, what is it? Not Family Matters. No, Family Matters wouldn't come out until the 80s. It's, what is it? I will get it eventually, I swear. Brady Bunch! Brady Bunch! The Brady Bunch show. The Brady Bunch era of sitcoms in the late 60s to early 1970s.